this video, we're going to look at the standard form of a linear function and how to graph it. Standard form is represented as ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers. One thing though about this equation, a and b cannot both be 0, okay? Well, one or the other could be 0, so that's what brings us to this question. What if a or b are 0? So let's look at this first example where a is 0. Well, we have 0x, which means there are no x's, which means there is just 4y equals 16. And if we were to solve this for y, we would get y equals 4, okay? I'll show you how to graph that here in just a minute. The next one, let's say b is 0. So that's 0y, which means y isn't there. So we would just have 2x equals 10. We would solve for x and we would get x equals 5. So these would be our two equations here. And if you notice, there's only one variable listed there. So the graph is going to look a little bit different. And so that's what's going to bring us to these two graphs right here. Notice I have some words at the bottom. These are actually acronyms. One is HOI and one is VUX. So I refer to these when we're graphing these special scenarios with our linear functions. So HOI is where we're going to look at when we have a horizontal line. That's what the H stands for. There's going to be a 0 slope, right? Horizontal line has a 0 slope. And the Y stands for what the equation looks like. It's Y equals a number. So up here we had Y equals 4. So that means no matter what X is, Y is always 4. So we're going to go up to when Y is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So that'd be about right there. So you don't have to put a dot, because what we're going to do is we're going to draw a horizontal line that goes through 4, okay? And that would be how we would graph that equation, Y equals 4, HOI, right? Y equals a number, horizontal line, 0 slope. Well, if y equals a number is a horizontal line, x equals a number is going to be a vertical line. So that's where VUX comes into play. V stands for a vertical line. U stands for the slope. It's an undefined slope. And x is what our equation looks like. X equals 5. So this means no matter what y is, x is always 5. So we go to x is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would be right there. And we're going to draw a vertical line through x equals 5, okay? So that's what happens if a or b are 0. That's going to give us kind of a special case where we have a 0 slope, which is a horizontal line if we have y equals a number, or an undefined slope with a vertical line if x equals a number. All right, well, let's look about how to use intercepts to graph equations. So a and b aren't 0 now. They are other real numbers, and so we're going to learn how to graph those. So to do that, we want to graph the two intercepts. We want to graph the x-intercept, which is where the graph crosses the x-axis, and we want to graph the y-intercept, which is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So these coordinates can be represented as such. The x-intercept will be whatever number is for x, comma, 0. So on the x-intercept, the y-coordinate is 0. That means we don't go up or down, so our point is on the x-axis. For the y-intercept, our x-coordinate is 0, because we don't move left or right. We are on the y-axis. All right, so let's look at an example here. It says to graph in standard form, ax plus by equals c, find the intercepts, and then draw the line that passes through the 2 points. So to find the x-intercept, remember we want y to be 0. So in our equation, we're going to set y equal to 0 and solve for x. For the y-intercept, we want x to be 0. So we'll set x equal to 0 and we'll solve for y. Okay. All right, so here's our equation, 2x plus 5y equals 10. So let's find the x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, we want to let y equal 0. In other words, we want the x term to still be in our equation. So this will be 2x plus 5 times 0 equals 10. So this becomes 2x equals 10, and we divide by 2, and we get x equals 5. So now, x is equal to 5, so our x-intercept is 5, comma 0, right? Remember, our intercepts have a coordinate of a 0, right? So for the x-intercept, the y-coordinate is 0. So now we can plot this point at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 0. So that would be our x-intercept. So we're going to leave that as is, and now we're going to find our y-intercept. So the y-intercept, we want to let x be 0. Right? Or in other words, we still want the y value, the y variable, to be in our equation. So we're going to say 2 times 0 plus 5y is equal to 10. Well, 2 times 0 is 0, so now we just have 5y equals 10. And now we can solve for y by dividing both sides by 5. So we get y equals 2. So our y-intercept, x was 0, y is 2. So now we plot that at 0, 2. And we have our 2 points, and now we can draw our line through those 2 points. Okay, so we draw our line there, put an arrow at the end, and I'll extend my line in this direction, put an arrow at the end. Okay, and that is how we graph an equation in standard form.